The New York State Department of Transportation presents the DOT POD.
And welcome into the DOT POD. I'm Josh Heller.
And I'm Anya Carlos.
And we are delighted to have you joining us. Well, looking for a job? Keep on listening. Now, before we get started, our listeners may once again notice that we are not in our studio for this episode. A lot of hustle and bustle going on around us, but we took another road trip, and we are here at the great New York State Fair once again inside the Science and Industry Building, where the New York State Department of Transportation has various exhibits, which are fun for the entire family. But we are also using the fair as an opportunity to let these people know and to let you know about the great opportunities for careers right here within NYSDOT.
So that's why on today's episode, we're unpacking how DOT is attracting top talent, which helps the department build stronger communities all across our state, from engineers to project managers to snowplow drivers and technicians. If you are a job seeker, and I know there's some of you out there, or you're simply curious about what we do here, you don't want to miss this episode. There are some great stories coming up, and we've got two great guests who are going to share them. We'd like to welcome Dan Patrick-Nani. He's with Human Resources. He's a Human Resources Specialist for NYSDOT. And William Bill Chiro, Motor Equipment Manager with the Department's Office of Fleet Administration. Welcome, Bill and Dan.
Hey.
Thanks for coming.
Hello.
So we always start out kind of finding out a little bit more about our guests, kind of letting people know the men and women who do the work here at the Department of Transportation. So, Bill, we'll start with you. Talk to us about yourself and about, the position that you're in, your background, how you got here.
All right. Well, I started with the state in 1983. I came to the department in 1988, worked as a fleet technician in Region 4. Got into supervision in around 2001. 2016, I came out to Syracuse to be the fleet manager. A couple of years in, I ended up working for main office as a managing manager, and then I decided to retire.
I'm thinking about that too.
As I walked out the door, I had a discussion with Shane and Annette, and next thing you know, here I am recruiting for them.
I keep dragging you back.
Can't get
love
away.
it.
Can't get away.
No, it's a great job.
And Dan, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
So I started with New York State about 10 years ago with the DMV in Human Resources there. I then gave the road tests for a summer, decided that was a little risky, and
That sounds terrifying.
it's you can blame me for some of the drivers on the road. Went over to the state comptroller, did some retirement work, and then made my way over to DOT, did some hiring for the engineers for about 3 years, and then I transitioned after COVID over to the recruitment. So we're trying to help replace people like Bill who have left us, and a lot of people leaving, and we're trying to get more people in the door.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, sort of the overarching issue with you and what NYSDOT is doing to turn the tide, so to speak. But first, Bill, let's talk a little bit about recruitment. You are actively involved in a lot of local events, also here at the fair. What's going on here that we're seeing when it comes to recruitment?
Well, we've got a booth. There's a lot of DOT booths here. Our fleet booth across the hall here is a snowblower. The kids can crawl in and see, get their pictures taken.
Right.
I'm going to do that also, by the way. It looks awesome.
I'm going to take pictures of that.
And
for
then
sure.
we've got some giveaway stuff. I don't know if you know this, but the yardsticks, they're limited edition. They're not making them any longer.
Ooh, get them while they're hot.
Yeah, bad joke for the day.
I like it. It's awesome. We've got an issue when it comes with technicians. This is a nationwide shortage.
Correct.
And it's not just state agencies all across the country. It's also just businesses, industries all over the place. Talk about the issue at hand, some generational retirements, and how we're combating that.
Yeah, well, it's a problem everywhere. Everywhere you go across the country, there's help wanted signs looking for technicians. We started this program probably 4 or 5 years ago, going out to the BOCES programs, working with the kids, trying to get them involved. I've got some great industry partners that I work with. We work with Colville Skill College. Doug Hammond's a real good buddy of mine. We do a lot back and forth.
By the way, if you want to find out more about our SUNY Colville School program, you can listen in to one of our previous podcasts where we were there talking to them with Shane.
Yes.
That's right.
I do a lot with Jerry's Jerry Skiff and Ed Wallace from Anderson Equipment, we actually go out and we teach either automotive electrical or we teach hydraulics with the kids in the BOCES programs to try to get them involved. We take the show on the road. We do a lot of stuff at local fairs, local steam shows. We'll be out to Alexander here in a couple of weeks, set up for 4 or 5 days there. It's good for the community. It's good for the department that people get to see us. They can ask questions about what we do. Plus, we hear about, well, how come the roads aren't fixed or this, that, and the other thing. And you kind of quell that and simmer them down a little bit.
Why do those shows work so well? Why is that such a good fit for DOT?
For us, you're dealing with people. We're looking for technicians and snowplow drivers. Well, those guys are usually the tinkers. Those are the guys at the antique tractor shows, the antique truck shows.
Gearheads.
Exactly. And that's the market we're looking for. And I think it goes beyond that because they bring their kids. We get them involved. We've got a starting board. They can play with it and try it out and see if they can get the lawnmower to run. It just works out. It's a really good fit, and it's a really good target market for us in the department.
Now, have we seen any? Obviously, we were talking about the shortage right now, but have we seen some of the effects from that? Have we seen the benefits from these type of events like the one we're at right now?
Yes, we've seen quite a bit. Currently we have 17 interns working for us across the state that come out of those programs, either the BOCES programs or the colleges. So it's a real good stepping stone for us. Our hopes are you grab a kid in BOCES, you invest a little time and effort. They work for us all summer. They work for us during the school year. And then they come back and hopefully go on to college, go on to a technical school. And then when they leave that, then we can hire them when they get their 2-year degree. And we're seeing a lot of that. We had a young man in the Syracuse region came to us through a BOCES program and said, hey, listen, this is a great job. How do I get this job? He goes, well, you got to go on to college. You need to go on to Morrisville or a Cobleskill. I don't want to do that. And then 3 weeks later, he's applying so he can stay with us. So he's right now a junior here at Morrisville.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
A lot of success stories.
Yes, it is. And it's all small wins. We've got to build our own right now because they're not out there. Everybody's looking for technicians. The age bracket, unfortunately, is getting older, and it's not an old man's game, busting your knuckles and doing that kind of stuff. So for us, it works out good working with the kids and building our own.
Dan, obviously, in any industry right now, there are ebbs and flows as far as hiring is concerned. But it appears, especially after kind of the COVID pauses, that really we're full throttle is trying to get not just technicians, but almost any position right now.
Right.
Just talk about overall at the department, what's being looked for and really the need for it.
Sure. So after COVID, we really ran into a string of people retiring. So we lost a lot of generational knowledge and people who've been with the department for, decades. And we have had a lot of difficulty just with the way the state's run and the hiring there, where you couldn't just hire whoever you wanted. You either had to go through the civil service process, you had to get a budget waiver to hire, and now a lot of those shackles have been taken off. So it's really been all hands on deck trying to find, like you said earlier, engineers, technicians, electric technicians, snowplow drivers, office staff. One of the interesting things about the DOT is if you were to stop and ask anybody on the road, what does DOT do? They're probably just going to say, oh, they plow the roads when it snows.
Roads.
And, when I first came here, I probably wouldn't have thought much more of that either. But you don't really understand everything that goes into it. Whether it's the technicians fixing the trucks as they break down or, any number of engineers that are both designing and putting these projects out. To the support staff. We have contract management specialists. Everyone's got HR. We have communications team. So it's
shout out communications.
That's right. Shout out to communications.
Shout out. And so it's really just trying to replace a lot of the people who are leaving. Mm-hmm. And then we've also kind of ran into the world's changing, transportation's changing, the skill sets needed are changing. So how do we continue to find people with the new skill sets needed to come in and help get the job done for the future? So
you were talking about barriers, one of them, and if you could just briefly go into it, that would be the civil service exam. And with New York Helps, that has eliminated that for a lot of positions, and it's really opened up the door. Can you talk about that and other things that have changed when it comes to the next generation of employees and what they're looking for, and how DOT is evolving with that?
Sure. So civil service can be a difficult process to navigate. Now, I don't think any of you had to necessarily take an exam and get hired job.
I did. I did.
Yeah.
So how did you hear about the exam?
I was unemployed at the time, and yeah, I was the hockey team I worked for had left. I started out in hockey broadcasting, and I was getting unemployment, and luckily there was a civil service exam for public information specialist, which is what I am. So I took that exam, and I got the job 5 years later.
5 years later.
5 years later.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's not like any other job where you can just simply send in an application or send in your
Right.
resume. You have to sign up for an exam that's going to be held in 3 or 4 months. You sit down, you take an exam that might have questions that aren't really for the job that you're taking. After that, you wait another 3 or 4 months for a list of scores to come out, and then you have to be reachable on the scores list. So it could be a difficult process to navigate. If you're graduating college or facing unemployment, you're looking at anywhere from 6 months to a
Right.
year. So recently, in the beginning of the year, they took away some of those guidelines, or took away the exam for all the entry level positions and opened it up, so we're pretty much like anywhere else in the world, where if you see a job that you're qualified for, you can apply. And it's been pretty eye-opening how many more applications that we've been getting in, and how many people are really trying to get in their foot in the door in the state.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you look online at the job postings right now, most of them will say what right next to them? New York Helps.
New York Helps. Yep. So
Right.
if you're looking for a job, you can go to State Jobs or the DOT website, and it'll have a list of all of our current openings.
Right.
Any of the ones that say New York Helps, you just have to go look at it, check out the minimum qualifications, and then if you're qualified or it looks interesting to you, just send in a resume, and that is how we do the hiring process now. So it really has cut down, months out of the hiring process, which has been helpful.
What about other kind of enticements? There's a generation that's coming into the workforce who maybe was in college during COVID, during the pandemic. They have different expectations. How are we meeting those?
Sure. So COVID really changed everything, right? Before COVID, we were in the office 9 to 5, 5 days a week. You got your vacation days and all that. But when we hit COVID, we all had to pivot, and remote work came around. So now we offer a pretty good telecommuting program where you're allowed in certain positions. Bill, I don't think you guys can.
No.
No,
Nobody's
can't
working
on
in
the
your
road
yard.
with remotely.
No, it's tough. I do have a question for you. How does that go over with your staff? Now, I know they probably understand they can't telecommute, but is that ever like a point of contention?
No, not really. The guys understand that, they're
Okay.
pretty dedicated employees, and the guys, they understand that, all right, well, you're not going to take a large dump home and tear it apart in the front yard.
Right. Although I bet some of them would love that.
Yeah. The neighbors might not like it, but, the guys would love it.
So we have the telecommuting now, which has been, if you talk to any of the employees, I'm sure that is one of their favorite things, if they're able to do it. There's been a lot of benefits that have been added. We have the paid parental leave now. So if you're going to be a new parent, before you might have had to exhaust almost all of your vacation or sick time to, help acclimate your new child. But now you get, I think it's 12 weeks of paid leave for that. So that's a really nice program that they have. We've had a new holiday added to our schedule. I know they changed Tier 6, so I think the vesting's only been about 5 years now for Tier 6. So the state's really looked at what they have to do to make changes to make us more of an attractive employer. And, when we compete with the private sector, there's some private sector jobs that are 100% remote. So it is a change to not expect to have your people in the office 100%. So,
Bill, you mentioned working alongside the BOCES programs and the COBOL skills and things like that. And one of the things that we heard about, and I'm not going to say it's understandable, but I do get it, is that a lot of people, I think parents especially, look at those things as less than. Like, oh, you're like, when I was a kid, community college was, oh, okay, I guess you're going there. It's really changed, and it's no longer the case, especially with these programs like we have at SUNY COBOL Skill, like we have these BOCES programs, that they are, and you start to look at the costs of college as a whole. I mean, these are investments.
Yeah, and we've got to really rebrand BOCES because it's not for behavioral problems. This is a place where kids can go and get their feet wet and kind of understand what they want to do for a living. It gives them an opportunity to say, hey, listen, do I want to be a technician? Do I want to be an operator? Do I want to be a plumber? Do I want to be an electrician? There's a lot of great learning there to be had. And then to go on to another college or a school, because when I started, you could take and learn everything you need to know to fix a truck in the backyard with your dad or through high school and industrial arts programs. And now today, everything's so technical that if you don't have a real good electrical background and have a real good understanding of how these systems work, you're pretty well lost with it.
Right. Kind of have to have like those gamer skills and IT skills, because that's really what's going on right now. This isn't just like, getting your hands dirty. This is getting into this new not new technology, but newer technology like EV, larger equipment that will be headed in that direction. It's a whole new world over the past, I'd say 10, 15 years,
yeah,
right?
15, 20 years. Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything's gotten so complex. And you're seeing that the programs, we're actually helping build a better programs with these BOCES programs to get the instructors involved and kind of point them in the right direction. So they're headed, sending their kids that, hey, listen, you're really not ready to go out into the workforce leaving high school. You need to invest in yourself. And that's why we wound up with sending our folks to COBOL Skill to help them with some of the skills, because we hire a lot of automotive technicians that will have zero hydraulic background. So for years and years and years, our guys all complain that, we never get good schooling. We never get any good training. It's usually a dealership sending a salesman in to tell us why his product is far superior to someone else's, where when they actually go on to COBOL Skill, they're getting very good skill sets and very good training that we needed.
And I do think that's important. I mean, we're talking about, kids who are going into the workforce doing that, but it's not as if, you get here and the learning stops. It's not as if you're hired and okay, good, you're done. No, I mean, we talked about how much the, technology has been changing with the past 10 years. I don't see that changing anytime soon. In fact, it's probably going to continue to move at that exponential pace that it currently is. So, the training for those people who are hired, I mean, it's lifelong learning.
Yes. And the other thing, we tell them in the BOCES programs, don't go to work for somebody that doesn't invest in your future. And when we're talking about investing in their future, we're talking about continuous education, learning the new technologies. We had to change the way we did business, just for the simple fact is, I can honestly say, we don't find many technicians out there out of work. I mean, there's so much work out there right now that you can get a job almost anywhere, fixing equipment or fixing cars or trucks. So we've got to make these better places to work. I mean, more advanced shops, investing in our futures, the latest and greatest technologies in front of you and a way to repair them. That's some of the what we go through with the BOCES kids and their parents. They come and, well, you guys are a bunch of grease monkeys, or you're working in a corner garage in the darkness and that stuff. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Today, the shops are polished. Some of them, not our shops at least yet, but, air-conditioned shops and just better working atmospheres.
Dan, listening to Bill, can you kind of relate to what he's talking about some of the misconceptions when it comes to state service?
Sure. So I'll use the fleet shop as an example. I went to Long Island last year to do the equipment operator exam. And if you were to ask me before that what I thought a fleet shop looked like, a dark, grungy place filled with greased up guys.
Yeah.
And I walked into just a giant room with trucks on lifts and, well-dressed people who were well manicured. And it was really eye-opening to see the level of professionalism that they had. And I think a lot of people, when they look at, not just those types of jobs, but even like state jobs in general, we're all state workers. I'm sure you've heard your people, how many state workers does it take to fix a light bulb?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Three. It's three.
It's always three.
It's always three.
Or one of my guilty pleasures is anytime we post anything on Facebook, I like to go through the comments.
Ugh.
Don't do it.
It's my dream to get a troll account, but I've been told not to do it. But you look at some of the comments and, you see, I saw a bunch of guys standing around this work site. What are they doing? Or, state workers are lazy. They don't do anything. And until you kind of pull back the curtains on it, you really don't see how hard people, especially within DOT work, whether it's the HR office and hiring. I'm fortunate to work with a ton of managers throughout the state who put a ton of effort into the recruitment and hiring process, or even just how, at snap of a finger when there's an emergency, no questions asked, everybody in this department just rallies behind it and gets the job done. So I really think that, if there's a way that we can paint our workers with a little bit more respect for the amount of work that we do and the amount of things that we get done, and it really gets done in a timely fashion. The public might not think that, but I live up in Saratoga, and a couple of years ago, Sitterly Road was hit, and it was shut down for a couple of weeks, and then boom, there's a fake bridge on top of it. Where
you're talking about the bridge over the Northway.
Yep.
Yeah,
and it was just incredible how traffic was affected for a little bit, but then we were back up and running, and that's many different offices in our building working together to get that done. So I really think it's we can do a better job of just showing the amount of work that we do, how hard we work, and
I think, like you said, the breadth of what we do. I think for Anya and myself, I've been less than a year and a half here. Anya, you're just about a year
just
here.
About a year, yeah.
And one of the nice things about doing this podcast is talking to people in different parts of the of the department, that parts that I don't know anything about. I remember when I was hired, there was 8,000 people here. Like, that's a lot of people doing a lot of different jobs.
Yes.
And I think, and even people in the department itself, you're kind of, you're in your silo. You do what you do. But I think just getting to learn more about that. The one that sticks out to me was we had a couple guys from Rochester coming in talking about, we helped facilitate a skate park underneath the bridge, and they were in real estate. And I was like, I didn't even know we had real estate. What does that even mean, right? Or right of way, or whatever they're called. And it's one of those things where it was eye opening. I'd never even heard of that.
Right.
But yet it's an integral part of what we do. So just the breadth of work that's done here and that you can do here at DOT. It really is something that you mentioned the websites. We'll mention them again, and we'll also have links to them in the description, so you can click on those if you're interested. But really, whatever your background and specialty is, there's probably a place for you at the Department of Transportation, I would imagine.
Yeah. The only time I'm ever stumped when I go to a job fair is if you're going to be a doctor. We did have a nurse. I'm pretty sure she was from OGS. But other than that, we have lawyers. We have clerical staff. We have contract management, real estate, engineers,
environmental folks,
landscape architects, surveyors. We have a little bit of everything. And if you stay around long enough, I feel like I learn about a new job. Railroad.
Yes.
I don't know if you've done a podcast with the railroad
we have not
guys yet,
but that's a good idea.
On the list.
It's any type of position. It really is interesting how many different people work for the department in just various walks of life.
You've just given us a few more podcast episode topics right there.
Yeah, and the other nice part about working here too is everyone's approachable. I've worked places where management has, depending on how high up they are, won't speak to you, but everyone here very approachable, And I've been lucky enough just by asking, hey, can I come out with you for a day and walk a day in your shoes? And I've gone out with the bridge inspection team and just to see what goes through that process. I was in waders underneath the bridge
cool.
with rats running around. Yes,
Crazy.
yes. The traffic technicians, watching them do their job as traffic is whizzing by them. Seeing the sad things that happen to some of our field staff because people can't move over or pay attention as they drive. It's pretty crazy how many things that we do here, and we have a lot of talented people who take a lot of pride in that.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at our guys, and that's one of the things we say to the people when they come to the booth, and if they do start complaining about, oh, geez, there was 4 guys leaning on a shovel the other day, and you ask them the same thing. Well, where were you on Christmas? Where were you on New Year's? Where were you on Super Bowl Sunday? Our guys are out there plowing snow. My guys are out there underneath trucks working on them. I mean, they're very dedicated people. That's the great thing about this job. It gets into your blood, and, you never want to leave it.
Clearly, Bill.
Very often we ask our guests to share a few things, and they revolve around 2 questions. What is your favorite New York State road trip? And what's the kind of music you like to jam out to when you go on road trips?
Your road trip tunes.
Ooh, my favorite road trip is we'll go down to Bethpage State Park,
Nice.
Play a little golf on Bethpage Black.
Wow.
The road trip is not fun. Driving through New York City and Long Island, but it is well worth it once you get there. And I like a little bit of everything. I'll do a little Taylor Swift, a little rock, a little bit of everything.
Eclectic,
a little
I like
hip hop,
it. Nice.
a little mix, a nice mix of everything, get me through the 4-hour drive.
Very nice. Bill.
I've got a couple of favorite road trips. One of them's probably going back to Western New York to see my grandkids. It's about 2.5-hour ride here from Syracuse. My other favorite road trip is 3 or 4 mornings a week. I get in the truck and head down Route 49, and it's 4 miles at a boat launch, and get to do some
nice.
fishing on Oneida Lake. And I guess my music, it would be the Doors. Jim Morrison was great, and he was ahead of his time because Roadhouse Blues is more of a public service announcement. Keep your eyes on the road, your hands upon the wheel.
And your hands upon the wheel.
So, more people did that, we'd have less problems.
Well, guys, thank you so much for taking some time and sitting down with us here. We always appreciate getting different perspectives and new people, and so again, thank you for helping us spread the word some more about the department, and again, we appreciate it.
Hey, you looking for a job?
I have the best job in the world. Why would I be looking for a job?
I think I
Yeah.
do, but we'll argue about that.
Well, thank you again, guys. Anya, another good one in the books.
Oh, yeah, this is great. Tons of dedicated people within DOT, and it's really cool getting to know everyone's different jobs. It really has been a cool journey so far.
And if you
learning
are
about it.
interested, again, you can head to the websites, and we will have those links in the description, so check those out. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in once again for this episode of the DOT POD. Wherever you find us, you can always reach out to us at podcast@dot.ny.gov. That's podcast@dot.ny.gov. So here from the great New York State Fair, we'll be back next time right here on the DOT POD.